Right, it's 5 o'clock on DR Sports. You already know what that means. It's time for your Live at 5 transfer news. And since we actually did the show at 12:30, myself, Robbie and Flex, there's been a few bits and bobs going on. And it's best of us to update you on what they are. Joining me today, on my right, the tactician mastermind. It's James B on the channel once again.
I'm back.
Great to see you, mate. You right? Good, mate. Good. Did you enjoy our katsu curry that we had together yesterday?
That was class. Yeah.
Cecil was there as well.
Yeah.
Even though I asked him about it earlier and he forgot about it. He didn't even remember I came.
He gets a lot done in 24 hours, so I'm not surprised he forgot what he got to yesterday.
It's because he was twerking at Chris Brown last night, wasn't he?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right, and joining me to my left, Uncle Laurie is back in the building. How are we, fella?
Hang on. So James gets tactical mastermind.
But wisdom. All right, let me go again. Let me go again.
But that's okay, though. That's okay.
To my left, introducing the head honcho, the CEO, the OG of LL Sports.
That's better.
We couldn't afford Robbie, so we've got Laurie back in.
It's great to be here, man. Great to be here.
Lovely.
Indulging in one of my passions. Talking about transfers.
Yeah, that's one of my passions, and it should be one of your passions as well. And if it is, show us. Press that like button, get your comments in the chat right now. We've got some breaking stuff, don't we? The kind of bits that we're doing on here.
Good days I've been on.
Yeah.
Literally the 2 days Arsenal decided to just get busy for no reason at all.
Get busy with it.
There we go.
And the busy news is this, and it came from both Alex Crook and
Ben Jacobs at the forefront of the news, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the news is that Arsenal have added Tottenham Hotspur target Eberechi Eze to their list of potential left-wing options. A cheaper option potentially than Rodrigo due to Eze's Crystal Palace release clause at £68 million. We've already heard that Rodrigo, to pry him away from Real Madrid, it's going to cost you £78 million, about 90 million euros. And this comes off the back of the news that Miles Lewis-Skelly has signed today. 5-year deal, locked him down, fantastic. Also, Christian Norgard is coming in, as we know. But Christian Mosquera as well, the Valencia 20-year-old right-sided centre-back that we've just watched a bit of. Quite aggressive on the front foot, likes to spray a pass. And we'll get to that. But first of all, chaps, I have to ask you about Eberechi Eze. I mean, wide options, yes, that's what Arsenal are in for, and almost an upgrade on Martinelli. I didn't have Eberechi as a left-sided option for Arsenal, but how do you, Laurie, react to this news initially?
By saying I would agree with you on both what you said. Talented player, very talented player. Would enhance any team in the Premier League, certainly Arsenal. But I didn't have him down as a left winger. But if he can play there, then hey, could be a bit of one of those master strokes where he can play in different positions.
I mean, the option for the release clause is £68 million. We know Tottenham have thrown their hat in the ring in quite a big way. They probably wouldn't be looking at him as a left-sided option if he came to Tottenham. More maybe an upgrade on Maddison. I'm not too sure what they would do with him. He can play in a few different positions, it's worth noting. Is this one where Arteta, almost a little bit like Mourinho, says, I know you're a great player in that position, but we need you in this position. Can you do us a job there, and almost mould him into that?
Arteta does tend to look at skill sets rather than what you've been doing most of your career and where you've been playing most of your career. He does tend to look at what you can get out of you. I mean, Ben White had a year at centre-back before becoming a right-back. We haven't really seen that change. Timber was a centre-back at Ajax before being moved to right-back. Zinchenko, Arteta was the reason he moved him at left back when they were both back at Man City. So there's something there. You wonder about how he might reinvent Eze. But Eze is two things. Firstly, a fundamentally talented footballer, which I think we all agree on. He's also, I think, a really Arsenal player. And I think it's been a little while because the last few years we're more associated with tall players, with physique, with strength, with energy. Actually, the Arsenal I grew up on, the Hlebs, the Rozicki's, the Nasri's, the Arshavins, the Fabregases. Fabregas plays slightly deeper at times, but those players that were kind of like wide tens that could sort of play off the left, play off the right, drop into central spaces, and were just a joy to watch. I mean, those are the players I grew up loving to watch at Arsenal, and I want more of them at the club. I think Ødegaard can be like that, but has been reinvented a little bit himself. I think Ethan Nwaneri's certainly that type of player, and I'd like more of them, and Eberechi Eze is one of them. So The question is, if you sign him to be a starting left winger, have Arsenal added quality out there? There's no question. He's a better player than Martinelli and Trossard, even as a left winger. The question then becomes, does Arteta try and shove him out on the touchline and get him to do his best work out there, which he could do, like Grealish has done from the left for Man City at times? Or do you get him floating from that position a little bit more and maybe reinvent your left back, get them overlapping, because you need width somehow in the team? So it's interesting. I'm excited to see what he would do with him if he gets him. An important detail about this deal is fundamentally, reportedly Palace would accept the release clause to be paid in 20 million instalments. That makes it a much more viable deal for Arsenal this summer than maybe a Rodrigo, who might command a lot more up front. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I actually think it makes sense, but I think it might be one that drags on for a little bit.
Yeah, Laurie, 40 goals and 26 assists in 167 appearances in all competitions for the Eagles. We know, in terms of Crystal Palace, he goes down as maybe one of their best ever players, who scored the winner in the FA Cup. It's no secret that the top clubs are all over him, the big six. But can you see him fitting into exactly what Arteta needs? And would he be that left-sided player that we're all talking about? You need a striker and a left-sided winger. Is this the one that Arsenal think it might be then, if they're throwing their hat in the ring now?
Yeah, listen, as I said before, very talented player, seems to have the right attitude, has played in that position before, I understand. And like James says, if you can, Arteta does seem to like players that can play in different roles, different positions. You saw that with Partey, although he's leaving last season. At times he was a utility right back for Arsenal. We've seen it with other players in the team. Trossard switches wings. Once you got that degree of flexibility about you, that's very much what the modern day football is all about. I would certainly take him.
The fact he can play central is a good thing. I mean, I think we need to establish that. I mean, yes, there are other out-and-out wingers, whether it be Rodrigo, whether it be Williams. By the way, a lot of them do their best work in central spaces too. But Eze, the fact that he's a more natural 10, Arsenal need that too. So a real strength of his might be that Arteta goes, I think we answer two problems in one player. Now, I would like a specialised winger, a specialised 10. But ultimately, next season, he's going to want Ødegaard, Zubimendi, Rice to be his midfield three. It's cost him so much money to put that together, and one of them is his captain. That's the cheaper of the three players. So anyone he adds on the left, if they can give you something in central areas when Ødegaard can't make it, when you need to do something different with the midfield, I think he'll see that only as a positive, because Trossard is reportedly going to sign a new deal, but that's dragging on. And Martinelli is still there. And he's still then got Romero to fit into the team somehow. So I think Arteta does like the versatility, because it answers problems and it means he's not pigeonholed into you have to do this with this player. You can do a few different things.
Let's say Arsenal do get Eze, Laurie, 8 goals, 8 assists, 29 shots on target throughout the season. We know he's so easy to watch. Like, he's a pleasure to watch, isn't he? He glides past people, and he scores some incredible goals as well. But could you, if you did get him in, start him ahead of Martinelli in that position? First game of the season, would you do that if you got him in?
Well, if I would do it, and then would the manager do it? I guess the answer to that is, would I do it? Possibly yes. Would the manager do it? Probably no. I'll tell you another thing that I'm just digressing ever so much with Eberechi Eze that I do love about him as a Palace player that would definitely suit Arsenal is his willingness and his ability to shoot from outside the box.
Yeah, I agree with that. We need
that. Is something that, I get so frustrated watching Arsenal at times. We dominate possession, we're passing it around on the edge of the box, and not enough times do we see players that are willing to take it on. When the space opens up, you think, go on, have a shot. And invariably it goes sideways, backwards, and you think, come on. Eze has shown with Palace that he can shoot outside the box, he can score from free kicks. And we would definitely could do with somebody like that.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to end up in North London, whether it's Tottenham or Arsenal. But just looking into it a little bit more, the odds on his next clubs: Arsenal 6-4 on. They lead the race, and Tottenham 2-1.
No disrespects to Tottenham. Well, actually, yeah, disrespects to Tottenham.
Right.
But if that option was presented to him, I'd like to think that there's only one serious option there.
Well, depends on the money. They both got Champions League.
Yeah, but
depends if Arsenal dither. Because because all we keep hearing is that Berta likes to run multiple deals and get them all to a point at which they can be executed. But there's how players feel in this. Players want to be wanted too. As they might go, well, Tottenham are promising me the world, and Arsenal, they're not sure. I wait, and then I'm pre-seasoning with Palace, but I'm not really sure where I'm going to be. They're waiting for Rodrigo, and these things can drag on, and then a player suddenly doesn't feel completely and utterly keen themselves. So they do need to be careful on that front, Arsenal. And I would have thought that if they are going for Rodrigo, that's still going to take 2 months. I mean, in all seriousness, let's imagine a world in which the footballing gods have looked at us and said, I can tell you Rodrigo's going up at Arsenal. Predict when that happens. It's the 26th of June. I would genuinely say 26th of August. I would genuinely think it's going to drag on. He'll have the Club World Cup with Real Madrid. Then he'll have talks with the management. Then he'll decide he wants to leave. Then lots of clubs will enter the race. Then Arsenal will be trying to beat them to him. Negotiation with Real Madrid. And this could just drag on and on. Real Madrid want the best price, and they have to decide they definitely want to sell him. And yeah, I don't think Eze's going to want to wait that long. I think he's going to want his future resolved far, far quicker.
Yeah, if you look at Eze's general heat map for the season, it is left cutting in. It's almost a diagonal line from the halfway line into the edge of the opposition's box. He likes that area. And in Ben Jacobs' actual tweet, his wording was Arsenal have added Eze to their list of left-wing targets. Also, as we know, being considered by Spurs, £68 million release clause. If it was a toss-up between him and Rodrigo, who is going to cost more, obviously, probably around about
80, they're saying.
Yeah, £80 million, so 12 million extra. If it was a toss-up for that side at left wing, who'd you go for? Because even Rodrigo is a right winger, really.
You know what? I'd be inclined to opt for Eze, and the reason why I say that is because we know he's Premier League battle-tested and battle-ready. So obviously he will assimilate into the team a lot quicker than Rodrigo would. And I'm not, and I've said this before on various forums, I'm not particularly convinced that Rodrigo really wants to come to Arsenal. I've not really seen any quotes attributed to him where he seems to be embracing a move to Arsenal. I mean, obviously I've not seen much from Eze either. We've only just been linked with him. But
he's not going to say anything about Arsenal or anything about leaving because he is just himself. Got a brand new manager through the door. We know what players are like, especially flair players. When a new manager comes in, it's a fresh slate. You've got to prove yourself all over again. So before he even dreams to think of leaving there, he's almost got to impress Alonso and try and get himself into this Club World Cup setup, and then maybe go from there. But I agree with
that's
you, James.
fine. I just get the impression he wants
Arsenal,
to stay.
Yeah, but he also wants to impress and not make it look like he wants to leave. He's still got to play the game a little bit.
Sure.
And at Real Madrid, if you speak out about them, you're out the door anyway. So I think he's seeing what Alonso thinks of him first. I agree with you though. The Rodrigo one, which is maybe the more difficult deal to get done, that probably does take a couple of months because you have to wait for the Club World Cup to finish. You could even start the season maybe without Rodrigo.
He might even go on holiday.
You could, yeah.
I'm joking, he might.
Honestly, he might not even be able to.
Look, I would wait for Rodrigo. Arsenal need to do so much of their business ahead of the new season, especially with the fixtures. You asked whether Eze would start. I think if he signed, he would, because I don't think Arteta's got time to waste or to lose. But Rodrigo is a special player who I would wait that bit longer for, even if it means he misses basically the first 3 games, which would be disappointing. But, if
patience is going to be wearing thin, though, if you wait that long. Unless you do get a striker in as well.
If Arsenal have done Kepa, Mosquera, who we'll talk about in a sec, Zubimendi, Norgard and a striker by pre-season, and all we're hearing is Arsenal are in talks over Rodrigo, deal is progressing, it's a long one, it's going to take time. I could live with that because I think Rodrigo's the best player on the market behind Florian Wirtz this summer. I don't know of a bigger player moving or of a better player moving. Some might say Ryan Shirky, some might throw one or two other. Nico Williams, but I think Rodrigo's that good that I'd be willing to wait for him. Eze, I prefer Rodrigo. I think he's more what we need on that left. But Eze can play as a 10, and I think he's quality too. And he would add a lot in a different way. So some people are saying Isak. I don't think Isak is on the market, personally. If Liverpool do it, I mean, unbelievable fair player, but I don't think he is available. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm with it.
We've asked you in the chat, where will Eberechi Eze end up? Is it Arsenal, Tottenham, stay at Crystal Palace, or abroad? Right now, it's 38% Arsenal and 37% Tottenham.
Wow.
With just a small 20% staying at Palace, which we know won't happen now.
It could come down to which club he feels is able to guarantee him, and I say guarantee, I use that word loosely because you can't absolutely guarantee, but you know what I'm saying. The prospects of more first team football, where you're virtually assured to play, circumstances permitting, of course.
Yeah, and
that
also
could
in a
factor
position
into
that
his,
you'd prefer.
yeah,
as
exactly.
well.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. So, yeah.
I mean, if I was, I'm trying to look at the players that he potentially replaced. So, I can see him playing centrally for Spurs, and I can see him maybe starting ahead of Maddison. But for Arsenal, according to Ben Jacobs, it would be more out on the left. It obviously gives Odegaard and Rice a bit of space centrally to spread the ball far and wide, left and right. So I think he'd play two different roles for both of the two different teams. But if I was him, who would I choose? One, it's got to depend on the money. It has to come down to the money at some stage, like who's offering the better package. But in terms of like guaranteed success, which teams do I have more of a chance winning the trophy more? I mean, obviously Tottenham have won more recently than Arsenal, and there's no guarantee that Arsenal can win trophies, so it's a tough one for him.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it like that. I would say about the number 10 position. No, I hear you. The number 10 position, though.
But you'd have to change up your whole formation and whole.
Yeah, I think that's less likely at Arsenal, because what I would say about that is that I can't see Mikel Arteta upsetting Odegaard in that way. He's the captain of the club. We've seen previously where the manager's thrown his weight behind Odegaard wholesale. Even when he was going through that really poor run of form, the manager didn't even entertain dropping him.
Yeah.
Fair. If Eze's going to come, it's much more likely.
But guys, Trossard hasn't got bags of pace. You know, Trossard is quite similar to Eze in terms of profile. I mean, Eze's probably more naturally a 10, but the two of them are sort of better on the inside, but tend to get shoved out wide. You know, and maybe at another club you then see him go up levels. I mean, Elise we all knew was brilliant at Palace, but he's gone to Bayern and gone up another level. Or he was always that good and we didn't appreciate it. Maybe a little bit like Declan Rice. But I think Eze would thrive at Arsenal, whether it be on the left or on the 10. But one thing this Arsenal front three can do with, but it's a front three and the midfield three, it's just a bit more fluidity, a little bit more unpredictability. Players just popping up in random areas because they're posing problems to the opposition. Eze would allow us to do that. And I think with what is for me quite limited quality on the market, I don't think there's loads of obvious left wingers, go get them. I think you go for the guy who's got quality, especially in the league that we're playing in, and I think Eze is pretty much that.
Keep liking the stream, guys. 1,500 of you live with us and only 94 likes. If you're an Arsenal fan, you're excited right now, hit that like button. Let's jump into the chat. Let's go. Let's see what we can get. I think Rodrigo gives us much more pace. Eze can shoot from outside the box, says Vaishnav, as you said. A lot of his goals for Palace. Do you remember that one that was disallowed? That was like
opening day of last season against Brentford.
What a goal that was, by the way. The ref got that horribly wrong. No, Rodrigo is a left winger, says Loverboy. Tennis Prodigy says, objectively speaking, Eze should go to Tottenham. Why is that? Let us know. Are Arsenal that ambitious to sign a striker and Rodrigo? Lameo, I don't think so. Well, that's according to Dora Hedoro. That's what they want. That's, if you ask any Arsenal fan, it's not even a want. It's an absolute minimum. You know, you speak to Arsenal fans now, unless they get a striker and a left wing minimum, it's not a window that they wanted to happen, isn't it? You have to get that, and I'm saying that on your behalf.
Thanks.
Absolutely. No worries. Rodrigo is Kvaratskhelia level, just below Mbappe and Vinicius. You need to give him 350k and 80 to 100 million, says Doro again. Eze should reject Arsenal, just as they did to him, says Michael Williams. He was at the academy, wasn't he, at Arsenal? And
he was at a number of clubs.
He was pretty much all of the London ones. Yeah. Rodrigo is so unrealistic, but if Rodrigo has a personal vendetta with Madrid, maybe you'd have to pay him a lot of wages, says Doro again. And the hypocrisy these Asna fans have, lol. They say Liverpool can't get Isak because he didn't say because he didn't yet say he wanted to leave, and Newcastle trying to price him out. But Rodrigo says no. Real says no.
I'm confused.
Says
that was a
little bit confusing, that one, to be honest.
Bit cryptic, that one.
Yeah. What's the deeper message on that one?
Keep it simple.
I think this season Madrid will fail very badly, even with their new signings. They lost Kroos and Modric. They're the main players, similar to United losing Scholes and Michael Carrick as well. And Arsenal cannot afford Madueke, says Seme. Go to bed.
You know what? That's fine. We can't afford him that. He's perfectly fine with me. I don't know about James, but...
Yeah, I'm
let Nancy stay with.
I'm okay with that one.
Let Nancy stay at Chelsea for me.
Let's go.
What do you call him?
Nancy Madueke. Isn't that his name?
No, it's Nonny.
Oh, sorry.
It's Nonny.
I thought he was Nancy Madueke because he wears the bonnet playing part.
Yeah, that's it. So as we know, Arsenal, they've added Eze to their list. It's not a concrete, go for him. It's a potential list of left-wing options. As we know, it would be cheaper than Rodrigo. So if you are an Arsenal fan, let us know in the chat right now. Eberechi Eze, does he come to the Emirates or does he end up at Tottenham? Let us know. Christian Mosquera, the Spanish 20-year-old right-sided centre-back. Valencia value him at £25 million. Can you actually give us the latest on this, James? Because kind of comes out of the blue. I'm not sure many people would have heard of him, but as we said, we've looked at him. He's an aggressive forward foot defender that can pass and get stuck in and do the nasty bits and bobs as well that no one really wants to do. So what is the latest on this one?
So that's interesting from Romero. It must be quite new. He says, more on Christian Mosquera. The Arsenal story understands the Spanish defender has already given his green light to the move. Okay. I mean, I'm no expert on the player. 20 years old, Spain under 21s, 6'3", right-footed, which is good. I think a lot of people thought Arsenal, look at a left footer in Joel Hato, but I like that we're looking at a right footer because I think it's Saliba cover where we're going to be more in trouble next season. Firstly, shout out to Hand of Arsenal, who came in with, he's sort of an ITK in the Arsenal space, and he came with sort of big news. He's even credited by David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, so it tells you that his information has been spot on. Arsenal need more defender. It's crazy because we add every single summer. We had defender last season, Calafiori. The season before that was, I don't know who, but someone during Timber. The winner before that was Kivior. The winner before that was Zinchenko. It's constantly adding of defenders. Before that, Ben White. But to be fair, as an area that when Arteta arrived needs serious surgery, and I think to this day it's so crucial to what Arsenal and Arteta want to do that he's always having to replenish the stock, and we get a lot of injuries. We play a high line. There's a lot of running backwards. There's a lot of stepping forward for our defenders. We've had injury problems with Timber, with White, with Tomiyasu. Gabriel's coming back from surgery right now. Zinchenko's had injury problems. He might go. Kivior might leave. So it makes sense that Arsenal are looking to add another defender, especially on the right side. So I'm quite excited by this. I don't put it in the Norgard Kepa category of its depth. That's quite sensible. I put this in the, Arsenal are signing one of the exciting young defenders in Europe, and that's me regurgitating words from others, but if that's the general opinion on him, then brilliant. People have watched him say he's class. Other thing is that Saliba will end up at Real Madrid. I don't know when. I don't think it'll be this summer. It could be next summer for a cheaper fee. It could be in 2 years. You know how the story and how it goes.
Cheers, mate.
This stuff, it drags.
Still got it to come as well.
Maybe
it will just be Saliba and Konate centre-backs for Real Madrid next year.
We're going to have to talk about that in a sec. But if Arsenal also getting in a player with this potential in Mosquera who could maybe step in once Saliba goes, that for me is just good squad planning. So, those are my thoughts on it. I think it's one to be excited about, if I'm honest.
Yeah, this fella is only 20. He's just, hang on, it's his birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
So he's going to be 21 tomorrow. 6'2", as James said, plays for Valencia. But importantly to understand, Laurie, he's only played up till the Spain under-23s. And he does, I think he was born in Spain, but he's Colombian.
Yeah, he's got Colombian heritage.
So he's got a Colombian passport, which makes him eligible to play for them. And if I was Colombia, I would be getting on that phone right now to make sure that him and Howson don't just...
But if he's represented Spain at the previous levels, he would back himself to make the full time.
Yeah, but it would take something special. It would take an offer, wouldn't it, from the Colombians to get him to choose them, because we've seen before. But he's actually
a good national side.
They are very good, led by Luis Diaz and James Rodriguez and Johan Duran. But he's the fourth youngest footballer to ever play in La Liga with Valencia. Ferran Torres, Lee Kang-in, who plays for PSG, and Yunus Musa, who plays for AC Milan. So he comes with great stock. 82 appearances since 2021. And like I said, we've seen a few bits and bobs. That is future-proofing, isn't it? If you're looking at a 20-year-old centre-back from Europe.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard the link, I did my due diligence, went online, seen some of his plays, read some of the stuff, and the intelligence would suggest that he's a very young, exciting, talented, two-footed as well, quick, strong, good in duels. Seems like the full package, you know, given that he's still very young. I am slightly conflicted though, because as soon as I saw that he was right-footed centre-back, I thought, here we go. We're preparing the ground for Saliba to leave. You can't help but think that. But nevertheless...
That's not a bad thing though.
No, not necessarily, but it just makes you think that Saliba going could be sooner than we think. As in the end of next season or something. You know what I mean? You can't help but think that.
I hear what you're saying. I
can't help but think that. So that makes me a little conflicted. But in terms of the link with the player, yes, I am excited about that because he does look like a really good player and definitely one for the future. So yeah, why wouldn't you be excited about it?
Yeah, he does look good. He does look good. So let us know what you think about those links there. Yerson Mosquera. Sorry, not Yerson Mosquera. Is that his name?
Christian.
I think there's
Some
actually
Christian
two
Norgard and
Mosqueras.
Christian Mosquera.
There's actually two Mosqueras. One also used to play for Wolves and is also Colombian.
I think there is a Mosquera at Wolves.
Yeah, he's there. So it's Christian.
No
Mosquera.
relation.
No relation. Well, you never know. Well, we've both got a Colombian heritage. Yeah. Why not? But yeah, let Arsenal fans let us know. Also, just staying on this one, if Crystal Palace's Mark Gahey leaves and Club Brugge defender Joel Ordonez is also a list of the options that have been considered as alternatives for Mosquera by Arsenal, and that's according to Ryan Taylor, who's at the Daily Mirror and the Sunday Mirror respectively.
Am I right in thinking that
it seems like it. So Mark Gahey
Andrea Berta tried to get him to Atletico Madrid?
Gahey?
No, Mosquera. I'm
not sure. I wouldn't know. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't know. But Joel Ordonez, do we know much about him? No
idea. I'd heard of Mosquera. We had been linked. I wish I could remember who to credit. We had been linked a month ago by someone who it wasn't an Ornstein and Romano. I'm not saying they weren't close to the situation, didn't have good information. I remember thinking, okay, that's interesting, and it's sort of all popped up out of nowhere now, led by hand of Arsenal. So yeah.
Okay, well let us know as Mosquera, if he isn't one that Arsenal do get in, allegedly according to Ryan Taylor, Mark Gahey and Club Brugge defender Joel Ordonez are also on the list there, as well as options that have been considered as alternatives. 25 mil, is that par for the course in the market for a 20-year-old centre-back?
Well, with that kind of reputation, I would think so. Ryan Taylor, who you were just quoting there, apparently has said that Arsenal hope to get it done for less than 20 million euros. Now, apparently Valencia are funding a new stadium, I think. And I don't know what their financial situation is outside of that, but I don't know. Maybe they see an opportunity. He's also got 1 year left on his contract. So they might just see this also as a really good opportunity. Because this is a cynical way to look at it, but football clubs are also looking at deals and opportunities that make them money. So Mosquera, and there is a reputation. I mean, I had heard of him before the links today, right? There's a reputation there that Arsenal might go, we might get him for 13 million. I don't know, a year left. Valencia need to sell, whatever. I'm just making a situation up. They might think, we can go for 50 in a year or two. Even if he's not the Saliba answer, I think they might look at it in that way as well. So, let's see.
By the way, I just checked. I was right about that. He was, and this is the Andrea Berta link. He did try to, when Berta was at Atletico Madrid, he did try to get him to sign.
So it makes sense now.
Yeah, so that's...
Yeah, obviously Berta at Arsenal now.
So I was right about that. So I'm going to give myself
Christian Mosquera, let us know in the chat how keen are you for him to join Arsenal. Moving on, Newcastle, as we know, they have bid around about 40 million for João Pedro and James Trafford, the goalkeeper from Burnley. This follows on from their bid that we reported on Tuesday for their bid for Anthony Elanga, as we know. Trafford has agreed personal terms and talks are advancing, but no agreement made yet with Burnley, but Newcastle remain confident. Trafford wants the move. He wants to step up a little bit, with all due respect to Burnley. Still a really good age. He was one of the World Cup winners when he was under 19s.
Well, I think he was also, wasn't he the hero in the under 21, Euro under 21, summer 2023?
And we've seen bits. I mean, he has played in the Premier League before. What did you make of him when he did come up the first time with Burnley?
Honestly, didn't stand out to me, but I'm not going to pretend I watched a lot of Burnley. So for any Burnley fans thinking or wanting to say he was brilliant and I missed it, you're probably right. So I don't know. But I know that there's a massive reputation there. I know that there's massive hype. I know that some clubs have been chasing this deal for a while. I know City got really good money for him when he went to Burnley. It kind of shocked us all at the time. So yeah, Newcastle have been looking for that long-term number one for a little while. It was Aaron Ramsdale a year ago, was linked quite a lot. There have been a few others here and there. I think they were linked to, who's the goalkeeper we wanted?
Was linked, but obviously he left.
Johan Garcia, they were linked to as well. So they're clearly looking for that long-term number one after Nick Pope. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hype. If former Man City youngster, they always go for good money, don't they? And they always make those moves. I mean, they leave City for good money, and then they go and make other big money, whether it's Lavia, whether it's Palmer went straight from City, and now it's Trafford, and a few others, Morgan Rogers. So yeah, I'm interested to see how he does. But Newcastle are starting to get busy in the window because we look at Elanga, Pedro, and Trafford are the three players they've been bidding for in the last few days. Now, I don't. This is bad news for both of us. I don't think it means a lot for Alexander Isak, but I wonder what it means for Anthony Gordon. I wonder what it means for Anthony Gordon, because he's been constantly linked with moves away to Liverpool, to Arsenal, to a few others. And I wonder whether this is Newcastle going, we've got Champions League football, we want our quality across the front line and everywhere, and that's totally fair. That's what we're saying Arsenal should be doing, what Liverpool are looking to do. Or is it that maybe there's a big outgoing? I don't think it is, but I'm just raising the question.
It could be a domino effect for sure. Laurie, this is a question for you. He's played 28 times in the Premier League in his season for Burnley. 20 defeats. Obviously, they went down. 2 clean sheets. But let's compare that to last season, where in the Championship he got 29 clean sheets, 16 goals conceded across 46 games. Is it? That's how many games are in the Championship? Pretty sure it is, yeah.
46, yeah.
So listen, it's.
But I wouldn't read into that the previous stat about him conceding, because obviously that depends on the quality of the team. I mean, if you remember,
of course,
prior to Aaron Ramsdale signing for Arsenal, people were denigrating him, saying, "Oh, look, he played for a team that got relegated and blah blah blah." And then he came to Arsenal, and I think it's fair to say he was a success. So you can't read too much into that.
But last season, can you read into that? I mean, yes, it's the Championship, but 16 goals conceded. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, listen, I mean, I'd heard of him, from the City days and stuff like that, and he'd always attracted a lot of good publicity. A lot of people seem to rate him. So if so many people are rating you, they're rating you for a reason, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I reckon there's definitely potential there.
There is potential there. And I think Newcastle looking to just refresh in terms of Nick Pope, because good shot stopper. But I don't know, have you guys noticed with Nick Pope, like you must have watched Newcastle loads of times in the flesh in the last 2 seasons. He's not the most natural kicker of the boys. Distribution isn't great. And I think one of the things that Trafford would have obviously learnt throughout the Man City academy, the way he was taught to distribute the ball from really low back in the pitch, is probably a lot with his feet. And yeah, big success in the Championship. But do you think he's right now? Is he a clear upgrade on Nick Pope? Would you say?
I think it's difficult to say a clear upgrade, because that needs to be seen, doesn't it? Your point about playing with the feet, though, is very important to the modern day footballer, because to me that was what pushed Arsenal to bring in Raya. He's excellent with his feet.
I have to be honest, I think it's kind of unacceptable for any goalkeeper coming into the game now to not be good with their feet. I mean, it was kind of a thing when Guardiola arrived in 2016-17. I mean, we'd seen it before with Neuer and Valdez and other goalkeepers. And by the way, they weren't the first to do it. But it was really pronounced, wasn't it? Wow, we're going to pass the ball across goal, which you're always taught, never to do.
It's the first thing you're taught as a 5-year-old, isn't it?
Yeah, and your goalkeeper's going to be an outside player. David Raya's got to the point where he plays as one of the centre-backs in possession. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, You need that. You just do, because you need to be prepared for it. You just don't know what club you're going to end up at, what coach is going to end up at your club, and what they're going to want you to do. But so much pressure now is not just on. I mean, it's winning trophies, and if you're delivering that, no one cares how you're doing it. But otherwise, people look back at how are you playing, are you entertaining us, and starting with playing the ball out the back is one thing, but also kicking long. David Raya isn't just someone who can fizz the ball into our number 6. How many times he hits Havertz or Saka with his long diagonal passes to relieve pressure, to create a counter situation for us, to even just to get us up the pitch because we struggle for some territory. It's really, really important. So I imagine James Trafford would be coming in as well, because he's an upgrade on that side of the game.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting though, because England number 1, Pickford, I wouldn't have said he's particularly good with his feet. Would you? He can kick the ball long,
can
but
kick
in
it
terms
long
of his
and high.
distribution.
I think Pickford's better than people think with that.
I've never really associated him with that, if you see what I mean.
No, I've never
like with
associated
Raya
him
now,
with
he's standout with Edison. And
Put it this way, when he does it at Everton, compared to when he does it for England, it's night and day. With Everton, they don't want you doing that. Just get it long up to Beto.
Well, maybe that's why he's not as
getting
accomplished
die on the knockdowns from Beto. But for England, he can afford to do that because that's the way they play. But the Everton fans don't like it when he's under pressure in his own 6-yard and he's just got to smash it away.
He always looks pretty frantic when he does it for Everton. Maybe he doesn't trust the
He's just
fullbacks and that, really.
if I'm honest, I've spent a lot of time watching him at the Kop end in derby games, and he has a little bit of back and forth with the Kop. When the ball's at the other end, I don't know what it is. Like he's talking to himself. He's doing something. He's always fiddling with something.
That's goalkeepers' feeling.
They're crazy lot.
David Raya at
I could
Arsenal,
never do that.
he's borderline eccentric, don't you think?
Who?
David Raya.
You have to be a bit.
I
of
really
a nutter,
noticed
though,
he always
don't
struck me
you?
as quite calm.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, what does he do?
Do you mean when the ball's up the other end? Like, is he bored? He just plays around.
I just think with David, he's a study in itself sometimes.
Really?
To me, he's borderline. I've studied him. The one thing I'd say about him, he's tremendously agile and he likes to get involved in the play. And whether that's like running out, communicating with the players.
Didn't work with
Rush.
Mateta. Did him with that finish last year, did it?
So he does have his moments, David Raya, but he is an excellent
That's
keeper.
I look out for that. I always thought he was quite a calm,
chill guy.
Really?
Chill guy.
Wow, I must say.
No, not at all.
Having said that, though, he was my Arsenal player of the season. I really rate him.
Yeah.
I really do rate him.
So as we know, Trafford has agreed personal terms, and this seems like it's been going on for some time now, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe it progresses. I'm looking forward to July, to be honest with you, just so all of these transfers start speeding up a little bit, the PSR refreshes and
I
renews.
think what you're seeing as well is there's a little bit more activity now as we close in on pre-season. Because pre-season 6th, 7th of July. So I think a lot of clubs now, they will try and get the deals done. You're seeing Arsenal, it's noticeable. There's more traffic now because they know they need to get certain players signed so that,
Yeah. Just sticking on Newcastle, though, João Pedro looks like he's kind of going to come through the door. The 23-year-old, 10 goals in the league last season for Brighton. They value him at 60 million, the Brazilian. Is that maybe an Isaac future-proof signing as well? If we're looking at it in the same way as Mosquera, maybe not right now, but in a year or two. I mean, is that one that they...
Is Callum Wilson leaving?
There's been talks that he's going to get a new deal. I don't want to speak on behalf of Newcastle fans, but I think they don't want him to get a new deal. I'm pretty sure Matty Renton said something about, we've got to move on. And maybe João Pedro is actually a Callum Wilson replacement.
The trouble with Callum Wilson is I'm an admirer of his, good player. However, his injury record is horrendous, man. So you simply cannot rely on him.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Roll back the years,
Contract
though.
set
He's
to
a very,
expire.
very tidy striker.
Set to expire in a few days.
Yeah. They're having talks about a 1-year extension, but I think João Pedro is maybe his replacement as they aim to keep Isaac.
I think that will be largely his role. I mean, at Brighton, they rotate so much anyway. It's not like he's guaranteed minutes week in, week out. You may as well do it for Newcastle in the Champions League, though I appreciate Brighton play good football, very good club. Admire what they've done for a long time. Also, you can play on the left and on the right, João Pedro. I think you'd be more comfortable putting him out on the left if you need to. Isak can even play out on the left, so I think there's a world in which they play together at times. But I wouldn't be moving Isak from that position just to get João Pedro in the team.
No, I mean, Pedro would definitely be understudy to Isak.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, he could be also depth for the left, but they've got Barnes and Gordon there. Gordon can play on the right, but they've got bids for Alanga going in. They like Jacob Murphy, so they'll have a lot of quality in there.
And they want Alanga.
Yeah.
So
if they get Alanga, that would be a big positive for them because I do rate Alanga and his pace is blistering. Sometimes he can flat to deceive a little bit in front of goal. He's not the most prolific.
Yeah, according to the Telegram.
If he goes to somewhere, I think Eddie Howe, given his reputation with players, he will improve him. I think that'd be a good look for them.
Yeah, and according to the Telegram on screen there, they've readied up 125 million for both, for all of Trafford, for Elanga and João Pedro. According to Magpie Media here, all three players are interested in the moves and would love to play for Eddie Howe, according to Magpie Media. So, Newcastle fans in the chat, let us know, what do you think about these individual moves here for Newcastle? Obviously, you've got to remember Harvey Barnes is still there, Anthony Gordon, Murphy, as we've mentioned. They managed to get rid of Almiron last, what was his name? The Mexican fella, the Peruvian guy. Almiron, yeah. I think I said... Did I say
he's Paraguayan.
Almiron. He is Paraguayan. Yeah. He is Paraguayan. They got rid of him, so there's players there that are still fighting for that position. And if you're Harvey Barnes, you're thinking, maybe my days are numbered here. But João Pedro, rate him highly. Do you think he's maybe he's 23, he's one for the now, but could he explode at maybe a bigger club?
He's definitely got talent. Can be a little bit flaky at times, one or two disciplinary issues as well. But definitely talented. And if he goes to the right place with the right manager, with the right setup, I could see him flourishing.
Milos Kerkez, we spoke about him on the Half 12 show. He is officially signed in now as a Liverpool player for £40 million. That deal has been seeming like it's been around now for some time. How big a plus as an option to have, as well as maybe if Robertson stays, but he's looking to obviously nail down that position, isn't he, Kerkez? That's the kind of guy he is.
Signing.
Comes from good stock. He was at AC Milan. He was signed, I think, personally by Maldini, who took a big liking to him. Went to AZ Alkmaar. Has really kicked on at Bournemouth. It was 2 goals and 6 assists for the season. It's a very good signing.
Yeah, good signing. I've got a question for you, actually. Who's your sporting director?
Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards.
Props to that man, because not only are they doing business, they're doing it early, they're getting the players in for pre-season. So,
Mark Gehey too. That's moving on.
I mean, shout-outs to your sporting director, man.
You've reinvented your back four a little bit. I mean, you could easily say, the right back has to be changed. Kerkez will start, right?
Frimpong is going to start. Kerkez should start, yeah.
Yeah, now, the Konate thing's interesting because of all these reports and rumours that...
I think he signs, though.
You think he'll sign?
I do think... There's no way Liverpool allow themselves into another situation like that. It's either...
But what if they don't have a choice?
But what I think is, you almost make a line in the sand, a date in the calendar for this window that says, look, the window shuts September the 1st. If by maybe end of July you are giving us all the intentions that you want to leave for free next year, we'll just sell you this year and get 50 mil for you.
But
and then obviously replace him.
But
with Mark
they don't have to do that deal. Like Konate doesn't have to leave, and Real Madrid don't have to pay up.
He can just say, no, I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
But I do think we offer him something that is, like they say in The Godfather, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. You know what I mean?
Let's see. Look, I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't followed it close enough. But the Gehey thing suggests
he's another one though that's come out and said everything you've seen online is totally fake.
Yeah.
Similar to Sesko's agent, or Sesko himself, that says the release clause is fake. I think he will sign, if I'm honest. It's only because, he's obviously captained France a few times. He is a very good defender. He's played against Real Madrid a lot. He's actually locked up Vinicius whenever he's kind of cut in on that side.
I think Konate is outstanding.
Brilliant. He's so good.
Plus, that relationship
recovery
is unbelievable.
Brilliant.
I think he's
brilliant player.
Obviously, he sees Virgil as his big brother type thing. They're very close, apparently.
Yeah,
he stays.
But Liverpool fans, let us know. First on Milos Kerkez, he's desperate, or was desperate to be a Liverpool player, and he's got his wish finally. Don't know what shirt number he'll wear. But also, how do you feel not only on Milos Kerkez, but Ibu Konate? Does he sign? Do Liverpool actually try and cash in this summer if they can't next summer? And if he does sign, when do you think he does sign for Liverpool?
If you're Konate, though, why would you want to leave?
Exactly, that's what I think.
I just don't see that
But
happening.
his thing, and maybe his agent's thing as well, is like, look, we're happy to stay. We love it here. But we're currently on 70k a week. We need double that.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And I mean, Luis Diaz is on 55k a week. Did you know that?
That puts some things to shame, which I won't go into, like Arsenal salary related.
Yeah. Kai
But
Havertz.
let's not.
Yeah, probably Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
You're referring to all good. Yeah, so I know I'd happily pay him 140, 150. I think, why wouldn't you want that? I think
Actually,
Chiesa
I
was
did
on
say,
150
why would you want to leave? That might be
for money.
Yeah,
but we can offer him double.
yeah. I mean,
and
if you're
still be
prepared to,
comfortable.
if you're prepared to
Oh,
sort
he'll
of
get
break
that.
your wage
He'll
structure
get
and
that.
pay him what
It's not
I
breaking
think
wage. It's the same as Case is getting paid this year.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
150.
It's a structure. You don't go up and above a
Oh,
certain
so
point.
I thought you said you break it.
Yeah, because in order to pay these guys what they think they're worth, you are going to have to depart from that policy you have at the moment.
Yeah.
But as long as that can be worked out, I don't see any reason why Konate would want to leave.
Fair enough. Let us know on that one, Liverpool fans. Moving on to Tottenham. Tottenham are determined they will not be bullied into selling Christian Cuti Romero for a cut price fee by Atletico Madrid, according to the Telegraph. This is one we spoke about again at 12:30 on the show. They value him at 60 mil, 27 years old, currently at Spurs, has just won the Europa League. He strikes me as the type of player that if he hears a bit of interest from Diego Simeone El Cholo, he will boot balls away in training. He'll dig his feet in the mud. He will just make it a nightmare. I don't think he comes across as like a Alexander Isak who says, no, listen, I love Newcastle, I've got to stay here for another season. If he hears of any rumours on the phone, I think he's on the first plane out, or at least forcing his way out. That's just my take on it.
Him and Isak are certainly different characters,
100%
that's for sure.
for sure.
But whether he would do that, I don't know.
But
He did an
I
interview.
can see him at Atletico though.
I thought he
can
did an
see him.
interview
Yeah, I thought
between
he was
Feb and
leaving.
April where
Yeah,
he was
that he
quite
was
open
leaving.
about
Wanting to leave.
wanting to
Yeah.
take the next step, prove himself in La Liga. He felt that was next.
Is he
something
worth
like that.
60 million? I would say absolutely not.
Look, here's a lot of Tottenham fans I know whose thoughts on football I respect massively. Swear by that he's a brilliant player. I've never personally I've seen a very good player. I've never seen a great player.
I wouldn't even say he's very good. I think he lets himself down so much.
There's no doubt
And
he's
the
got
team.
rash moments in him. And he can absolutely get done. I think he started last season appallingly. Well, Tottenham were, I mean, Tottenham were, I know they won the Europa League. I know. Especially as an Arsenal fan, I know.
Yeah, you do.
But they were appalling for so much.
He wasn't
of last
helped, though,
season.
to be fair, by the style in which
No,
Tottenham
the
were playing,
tactics
with that
were
high line.
horrendous. And then when they needed to dig deep, and hold on to it in the final, they did. And he was
But I think
part
he
of
is a
that.
good player. He's an Argentinian
I rate Van der
international.
Ven. I'm a huge fan of Mickey Van der Ven. I think he's the
good.
better of the two, but all the hype seems to be around Romero. More of it in terms of transfer rumours. Maybe that's because he's been there a year or two longer. I
I
don't
think
know.
with Van der Ven, he's a lot pacier. Maybe Romero is a bit more physically inclined, and
He's
it's
a bit more
of a
aggressive,
solid
a bit more
defender.
front-footed, a bit more kind of in the walls. But look, but he's also good on the ball. I like as a pure footballer, I like Romero, but I don't quite understand the hype.
I'd agree.
And I imagine, because at one point he's linked with Real Madrid, so Real Madrid now look at Konate and Saliba, but then are they not looking at Romero anymore? They might be, but that was.
He's more of an Atletico Madrid player.
Oh, there's
Real
no
Madrid.
question.
I
But
don't
if you're
think he's good enough to
if you're
play
good
for Real
enough,
Madrid.
you're a Real Madrid player. aren't
Yeah, but
you?
it
You know,
depends
But I
what you're
don't think
looking
he
for,
is good
Alex.
enough.
If you're looking for somebody that's just going to
Don't
defend
look for
and
him.
a real
Honestly, I've seen his
S-house.
stock go, and obviously we're close to a lot of Tottenham fans. I've seen his stock go from, I love him, he wears the shirt with so much pride, to get him out of my club, he's ruining it.
I think that alludes back to what James was saying now when he gave interviews towards the end of the season saying that, he's going to leave. Fans don't like to hear that
Of
type of
course
stuff.
not, and that's why they wanted him out.
Yeah.
Just another update from Hand of Arsenal, who I said was at the forefront of the Mosquera stuff. He said that personal terms are not an issue, still work to be done, but talks are very advanced. So, okay, I mean, this is all happening quite quickly, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, just a quick one before we go. Eduard Mendy on joining Al Ahly. From the start, I always said that when I left Chelsea, I knew I was joining another team where I could win everything, which was no longer the case at Chelsea. Is that old? Or has he actually gone to Al Ahly right now? Brentford remain hopeful of securing a fee in the region of £63 million for Brian Mbuemo. Manchester United will pay the upfront fee of £55 million somehow, even though they've got no money. Brentford want more than £7 million in add-ons to take them past the fee that Wolves will receive for Cunha. So that one still rolls on as well.
I think he's brilliant, Mbemo. I think he's better
Oh,
than
he's brilliant.
Cunha.
So-
I think Cunha's very
so
good.
tidy,
I
isn't
think
he?
Mbemo's class.
I think that
Class
Cunha's probably more talented naturally, but Mbuemo is the harder worker and the guy that's
Wow,
going to give you
interesting.
more consistent performances.
20 goals a season.
Cunha might have a little bit more flair, but Mbemo is He's got bags of like quality.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like
So
mercurial. I think Cunha. That's the word I'm looking for. Cunha's more mercurial. He's going to do things on the ball that you think, wow. And Mbuemo doesn't have those like clutch wow moments, or not.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're very yeah.
But yeah, I think they're both assets to Man United. Though. If they sign those two,
I think they could be brilliant.
that is good for them.
It's a big
trust
one,
me.
that. Sohan says Rodrigo will be a bigger transfer than Wirtz. Wirtz.
Who'd be bigger?
Wirtz.
No, but who'd be bigger?
Rodrigo.
Than Wirtz?
The super chat.
Yeah, that was the super chat, yeah.
Well, if he comes to Arsenal, I hope so.
All right, well, Arsenal have officially, according to
Hand of
Arsenal, joined the race for Tottenham target Eberici Eze from Crystal Palace. Tottenham are still in that deal as well until they aren't. And Liverpool have completed the Kerkez deal. We also touched on Mars Lewis-Skelly signing that new deal. Congratulations to him and his family. Christian Norgard coming in. Christian Mosquera potentially coming in. Newcastle making moves in the market. And this Romero saga that I think will roll on as the summer progresses as well. We will be back tomorrow, as well as Best of Enemies. What a show that is, by the way, coming out tomorrow, isn't it? Absolute belter.
Let's not spoil anything.
We won't spoil it, but we were there when it was filmed, and it is sensational. So make sure you watch Best of Enemies. Over the weekend, we've also got a shocking transfer videos done by myself, the top 5 most shocking transfers of all time, according to
That'd be
AGT.
interesting. Look
That would
forward
be
to watching
interesting.
that.
Watch that. Get that on your TV at home. But until then, Laurie, James B, thank you very much for joining me today. Any final words?
No, thanks for having us. And we're live on AFTV now. If you want us to go into more detail around Mosquera, Eze, and all that with Robin Cecil's thoughts. So yeah,
Don't forget Norgard.
Don't forget. Do not forget.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And Kepa should be announced tomorrow, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think
well?
you know what, I'm quite encouraged by that. So I think Kepa would be a good look.
Okay, all right, sweet.
We need a goalkeeper.
Smash a like button, people, if you've enjoyed this video. Get your comments in. Who is your club buying or not buying this summer? And please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.